And I think like once that person finds a house, they're not going to continue to follow you. Like they'll maybe follow you while you're, but then it's like what happens after that. You kind of want to keep those people so that they, either refer people to you, or you just want to keep that connection going. So I just think that
if you're a real estate agent and you use social media, you need to watch this episode. If you're a real estate agent and you don't use social media, Today I was joined by none other than the original Buffalo Real Estate Lady, Kim Santana, and we talked about all things real estate, but specifically we talked about how to use social media successfully to draw in clients and make them so attracted to you that they're not going to work with anybody else because you are their person. I want to give a special thank you to Kim for coming on and delivering so much value, and I hope you get value out of this conversation as well. First off, I want to say thank you for coming on. I know when I messaged you, when I was reading the message that you responded, and you were saying, I usually say no to these things.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to the bottom of it, and you're like, but I want to come on. I was like, awesome. Because you came recommended from Johnny and Joe. They said, we love to hear you talk. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
But I do have to apologize because I'd say 2019, I messaged you on, I think, my personal account, asking you questions about real estate. You answered them. Great. And then fast forward like 4 years, I bought a house with someone else.
Yeah.
So
the story of my life.
Yeah. So I wanted to just get that out there.
Oh,
No, my bad on that.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I became that guy, and I was like, I can't believe I did that.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's okay. That'll take me a moment to get over.
Well, at least it was a 4-year gap. I mean, I can't imagine if it was like, I asked you a question today and then went back to my agent.
Right. But, no, but I appreciate that.
I think I was living in Rochester at the time too, but I still followed you. I went through like quite a few agents to like get information.
Right. Which is good. I mean, that's part of like why when I first started, I would put on the information because that's kind of all I had to offer. Mm-hmm. I couldn't really show like sales and stuff as much. So like I would, give that free info. Well, which I hope came in handy. No, it's so that's, I know, I expected that.
Yeah, and it took me a while to find even just the right person to work with. Mm-hmm. And I went through a few different agents. None of them were bad.
Yeah.
A few were incorrect on some things, but it's really just finding the right person that you feel like you get along with.
Mm-hmm.
And
definitely.
We were in like the 2020 trying to find a house, trying to get married. Yeah. So it's like, let's pause and restart. And then we weren't really looking. Mm-hmm. And I was working with Johnny. He was doing some videos. He started explaining things to me or to the camera, mainly like PMI. I was like, I don't need to, I don't need to put all this money down.
Right.
There's other options. I ended up not using it, but I was like, he's explaining things the way I guess. So anytime you can share information, I think it's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So like I said, I've been following you for a while, but I don't know much about your background. So do you mind sharing what you did before real estate, what you got you into it?
Yeah. So I've had quite the journey to get to Buffalo, New York. So I originally was in healthcare, actually. So like a totally different field. I was a clinical massage therapist specializing in sports therapy. So I worked like in a physical therapy clinic. I did that for almost like 5 years. Wow. And like during, the end of that time, that's when I met my husband. I met him on Twitter.
Twitter.
So he moved to Buffalo for college, and then he ended up like liking it here. So he, it was home for him at that point. And so obviously, as our relationship like progressed, then I decided like, okay, I'm going to make the move to Buffalo because it just made more sense at the time with like he had a company here and stuff, and it just made more sense. So I was like, okay, let's like sell everything and just like head on down to, Buffalo, New York. That's what brought me here. So totally different career, not in sales, no sales experience whatsoever. In fact, I'm not into like salesy things. Like so kind of ironic that I got into real estate.
I think that ends up helping you down the road. Like if you come from more of like a serving people background and you have to learn sales, I think it's better than like learning sales and having to learn how to like pay attention to how a person is.
Right.
I've worked retail and stuff like that. So I learned sales, but I always hated it. Yeah. So I was like, man, I hate being told how to be a commission salesperson. I just don't feel right doing this. So like I always, when I'm talking to somebody, if I'm having some sort of a sales meeting, I'm always on the other side of the table being like, how would I be reacting to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how was that transition into real estate?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I got here, I did the K-1 visa, which is like the 90-day fiance visa.
Yeah.
So like you have 90 days to get married.
That's fun.
So that was interesting. So, but then you also have to wait to work. So I had like a gap of like 6 months of like being like a stay-at-home dog mom, basically. So I didn't have like much to do and whatnot. So I was like, well, I have to figure out like what I'm going to do for work. My education doesn't transfer across the country. So I was like, I could either go back to school or I could do something that doesn't require like heavy education. So I was like, what about like real estate, like a real estate course? I can take real estate. So I took the course like while I couldn't work.
Cool.
And I got that done. And then once I got the green light from the government to start working, that's when I, kind of started.
Wow, that's interesting. How was that the K1 process? Is it as difficult?
It's so bad.
We watch 90 Day Fiance at my household.
I love
so
90 Day Fiance. It's like one of my top reality shows. Yeah.
We watch that, Housewives, and Drag Race. Are like
Okay, then yeah. Okay, well, our personalities will get along. Yes, those are all.
When I see, I don't know her name. I forgot her name, but the one with Gino.
Oh yeah, Gino and
her
Jasmine.
process looks like an absolute nightmare. So is it like, is it really that hard?
So because you would think because Canada's like our neighbor, it would be not as grueling, but it's just like such a waiting game and it's so expensive and it's just like so many steps. And we didn't hire like an immigration attorney. We did it all on our own. So we went off of like the resources of like the online world, like how to file things and like get things done. So we pulled it off somehow, but it was a long year. It was like waiting and like, So wouldn't recommend, unless you really.
It's gotta be tough for
like the person.
Yeah. It's gotta be tough for people who can't speak the language. Like I can't imagine like, from Canada, we all, can communicate, but coming from a different country, having to do all that's probably pretty stressful.
Right. No, I can't imagine what, Jasmine is going through or went through.
Gino's my favorite character. He's so funny to me.
So that him and his hat, he won't take his hat off.
And I think when she found like the chapstick in his car, he's like, I don't know who that is.
She's nuts. Yeah, she's,
Or when she gets out of the car and she's like, I hate it here. It's hell. I think I might have messaged you, but I don't know if you reposted a story about it, but she's like, I hate it here. It's like hell, but colder or something. So how long ago was that when you got into real estate?
So 2018 was when I got my license. It was April 2018. And I remember like the first day I went into the office because I joined like a small little brokerage. My husband knew the broker and he was like, yeah, you can join. Like it's just a few of us. Like it's basically a side hustle. And he just had the company so that when he buys stuff, obviously he can use his own brokerage. So it wasn't like a big company. There was only like maybe 4 active agents. So I wasn't expecting like much when I went in, but when I got in there, I was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to get leads? Like there was no resources. Like it was just kind of like everyone was doing their own thing. Everyone was doing stuff. They'd been in the industry for so long that they just had referrals and stuff. It just became easy because it came to them from past people and they knew a lot of people and they didn't have to like learn about lead generation and stuff, So then here's me like, first of all, not really knowing the city very well or the suburbs at all. And then getting into real estate, which is hilarious because you need to know like everything about the city and the suburbs. So, so I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I need to figure out how to get leads.
Right. Yeah. I mean, were you able to lean into the fact that you came from out of town and like, I have an outsider's
perspective? I did a little bit. Yeah. I definitely, leaned into the Canadian aspect a little bit and kind of like touring. That's how I sort of started the content was like touring Buffalo because I was like getting to know Buffalo, but I didn't really let it be known that I didn't know Buffalo very well.
I wouldn't have ever known.
So, well, that's good because I mean, I knew the city a little bit because I would visit, I'd visit the city. But as far as the suburbs and stuff, I was like, where's Cheektowaga first? And I have to ask my husband all the time, like, okay, where's Cheektowaga? Like,
I'm still
or like whatever. No, I know. And I have a bad sense of direction anyway. So it was just a lot of GPS action going on, and Googling and asking my husband a lot of things, like, you know, if I didn't know neighborhoods or certain things, like, so it was interesting first year.
Wow. I for some reason thought you were doing it longer. So
Really?
that's
Oh,
good.
that's
That-
good.
yeah,
Well, that was sort of what I was hoping for, because I didn't want to put focus on the fact that I was like a brand new
Sure, yeah.
citizen, or, you know, a resident, I should say. I'm not a citizen, resident. You know, so, okay, well, that's good. It worked out.
Yeah. So what ended up working for you in terms of like finding those leads? Like what was did you have a strategy? It was like this worked and this didn't.
No, yeah. So I remember like my first lead was like through the brokerage, because she had called for one of the listings that somebody else had, and the broker was like, you can go and show her the house, you know, have like dip your toes in. So I was like, okay. So I showed her the house, and she didn't really like it, and she was like, I was like, do you have an agent? And she's like, no. And I was like, oh, I was like, I can help you out, like, I'm available. And little did she know, like, I had no clients. So for like the next several weeks or whatever, we were looking at houses, whatever, and it was kind of nice because she was close to my age, and we had a lot in common, and so it was kind of just like very light and casual. I didn't feel like scared or pressured, you know, to be like this big agent, you know. So I just showed her houses, and then eventually found her a house, and then I got a referral from her for a family friend, and that's how I got my second lead. And then meanwhile, I'm on social media doing, you know, pushing out content, basically going to coffee shops, going to restaurants, posting food pictures because I love food. And I would kind of write like best coffee, what would I rate it, you know, like, oh, this place like 9 out of 10, like definitely go sit there and work. And by work I mean like scroll Twitter, you know, because I didn't have clients. So so, you know, we would take like pictures too, like, you know, lifestyle photos to kind of like get that content on the page so it looked a little fuller. And then I would tour neighborhoods. So I would do like, I would go like east side, and I'd show places that maybe you wouldn't see much, you know, like Fruit Belt. I remember I walked the Fruit Belt, and now I'm looking back and like, I walked the Fruit Belt, and you know, it like, you don't see agents doing like tours in those areas. And I think that was kind of missing, you know. They did the big areas like Elmwood and everything, and so I would kind of go into like different areas that weren't as well known, and then I would get the attention from local people, and they would be like, huh, this is kind of fun. Like, I can go on little tours, and I do a lot of my stories. Like, I would do, I just pump out like, I would talk to my camera, you know, and just kind of say like, not necessarily even real estate related, but just like Buffalo related, or something that just, would be like you're talking to somebody, you know. So I utilize the stories a lot too.
Yeah. Did you have social media experience before, or just kind of like?
Well, so I did have my personal Instagram is the Coffee Lady. So and I would, before I like could work, I also had obviously a lot of time on my hands, so I would review coffee. Like, people would send me coffee, and I would like review it.
That's cool.
And so I kind of built that a little bit. I wouldn't obviously get paid or anything, but I would get free coffee, which was great. So I would take photos of the coffee, and then I would like post about it and like rate it. And so I kind of already dabbled in like building that following with Coffee Lady. And then, you know, that's why I was like, I could do the same thing with real estate if I just like kind of shift gears a little bit into like the real estate focus rather than the coffee. But of course you'll see coffee content, you know, throughout, because it's like one of my favorite things.
It's funny. I picture myself reviewing coffee, and it's like,
it's funny. That's why I was like, I need to talk to him about the fact he doesn't like coffee. Like,
I love the smell of it. I just, if it has a coffee taste, my wife's like, this one doesn't taste like coffee. She does. And she's like, this one doesn't taste like coffee. It always
tastes like coffee.
It's like, don't do that to me. But
that's funny.
Wow, that's interesting. I like that. So you started doing things that other people weren't doing.
Right.
And it's almost like, that's why I guess we had experience doing it, because it takes a while for most people to like, okay, I don't need to be the stuck-up agent on Instagram trying to show success. Like, people want to know there's a real person on the other side. And did you like originally have a feeling of, okay, maybe I should be professional, or did you kind of start embracing the lifestyle stuff?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think like I'm always a lady, you know, because like, like I, you know, I try to keep it professional. Like, in that aspect. And yeah, I felt like I kind of pushed it a little with certain things, like jokes about listing photos was my pet peeve. And I at the time I was such a small agent that and I didn't have like a lot of followers, so I was kind of like, I'm just gonna like post whatever I want.
Sure.
And like if I want to post, like I would do this thing where I would have my laptop open and I would like take a video of me scrolling through listing photos that were like so terrible that I was like embarrassed
Right.
for the seller
Mm-hmm.
and for the agent, frankly. So I would post it on my story, and probably quite frowned upon, I'm sure. But my broker didn't care. He was like, "Yeah, do you like?"
Yeah.
He's like, you can do whatever you want. Like, I don't care. So I would kind of just lean into that a little bit, like, and people loved it. People thought it was so funny. Like they were like, "Oh my God, this is a listing here in Buffalo. Like what?"
Yeah.
And so as I've kind of like grown a little bit more, I've been a little bit more mindful of like, okay, let's not like be too like mean about
Sure.
things.
Yeah.
But I do still, from afar, like really hate certain listing photos, and I just get so upset about it.
Yeah, I've gone like the opposite way. So when I started my business, I was always trying to please everybody,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And if you feel called out in some of the things I'm saying,
Yeah.
maybe you should look
Right.
into it a little bit.
No, yeah, and I think I still, there's still aspects of like my content that obviously is like that. Like, I'll call something out in my story or whatever, but like I tend to keep that stuff for my stories, and my feed I'll just keep as, kind of like more of the real estate content, professional kind of
Sure.
thing. The fun is in the stories.
Yeah.
And I will still sometimes post a little bit of the listing photo stuff, just like a little.
Yeah.
I won't say any names or anything. But,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I do try to keep true to like keeping my true like personality in my content. But yeah, it's just kind of switched gears a little bit.
Yeah. And I usually, I can always know I'm going to log in and see something funny or something that's like not just like, you should buy a house. Like, obviously, yeah, we all know we should buy houses, but I think it's really, you've done a really good job of being funny, poking fun at things, but not like making someone feel stupid, or at least not making your customers feel stupid. Like, I think it's okay to make your colleagues feel like they're not doing the best thing, because that's just like, we're all trying to lift the industry standard up a little bit. Because if agent Y has better listing photos, then agent X is going to have to do it too, and everybody starts to do better for their clients today. But I know a lot of times I see, it's one of my biggest pet peeves for agents, the ones I follow a bunch, is when they post something that would be funny to another agent, but it's really making fun of a buyer or seller.
That's a great point. I feel the same way, and it bothers me too, because I feel like, that's not the way that you should be aiming your humor. If anything, it's just more like the funny thing about real estate is it's about like the real estate industry that is like, there's just so much stuff that's like naturally funny about it that like it's easy to make fun of it. So that's what I've leaned into, is like making fun of the industry more so, because it's like endless content of like things that go wrong, or things that, just, it's easy to come up with stuff because it's just actually happens.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they don't talk about real estate at all, but they were talking about real estate. So the topic came up, and the host was like, I think real estate's a dumb made up job. I don't think it exists. And it was just so funny.
Yeah. I mean, no, yeah, it's easy to poke fun at us. I mean,
well, it's good you can recognize that, because like if you can't at least poke fun at your own industry, it's going to be a long road.
Oh yeah, definitely. So and I mean, the one thing that I really love about obviously finding leads through like social media is just that the people that like are attracted to your content and then they become your clients, they are just like, you become so like, it's such a perfect compatibility because like they've chosen you. Like I because I don't pay for leads, I don't have to show up at a house and meet somebody that I don't know, and maybe they're not compatible with my personality. So everybody I meet is like so funny, and so like they get my humor, and they know that like there's also like there's a point where I'm obviously take this very seriously. So like I'm not like that, while I'm working with you. It's just, I mean, obviously we can make fun of certain things and have fun with it, but it's just something that you wouldn't get if you're paying for leads, or like even getting, just like a random person that you've never met.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, start to get over yourself and just like have fun with it,
Yeah.
because that's what people like to see. And a lot of people don't like being on camera, and I'm like, well, the best thing is like the bloopers are going to be your best performing videos, because
Right.
people want to see, oh, there's a person in there.
Yeah.
And it's not
Not just like a shell. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
So would you say you don't pay for leads at all? So are they mostly, do you get a lot through social media then?
I do. I get pretty much everything somehow comes through social media, whether it was a past client like that I found through social media, or they found me and they refer somebody to me, or like it's like somebody's mom follows me on social media and she's like, my daughter's looking for a house, like, I want to connect you guys.
Yeah.
So like that's a lot of that, and I get a lot of messages of people that are like preparing to sell or right, or like preparing to buy, and they just want to know like, okay, like what should I do if I want to, get ready next year?
Yeah.
And then they'll usually, sometimes they won't come back, and that's fine. If they've, like you said, have like somebody they know better that they're, but then sometimes they do come back and they're like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And we've already built that relationship over the year, of like, okay, let's, I'll check in again with you in a couple months, and they'll check in with me, or like if there's something that kind of interests them, we'll go check it out. Like so I try to keep it very like open communication. It's like what you do with those leads is like what's important. So like, you could get like 20 messages a week, and if you don't follow up and you don't, try to help them get to the next step, then like it's just like, what's the point,
Yeah.
So I've noticed that like obviously you of course have to be very like on top of that, of like keeping up with like connecting.
Yeah.
I
think part of like following up and being in constant contact is being consistent on social media. Because even if you don't, maybe you didn't message somebody, but if you put out a post or some stories where those people saw it, you're back top of mind, or you're able to help them answer questions maybe they didn't even know they had.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that's it's really important. A lot of people put so much effort into making one or two high quality posts, and that's it. And it's like, well, you need to. It's hard to be consistent. Sometimes you're like, what do I post today?
It's really hard.
And that's where I think having a side of like, okay, I want to do something. What am I doing today?
Right.
Like, I'm drinking coffee here.
Yeah,
why not just post about that?
Exactly.
And not
don't overthink it, and just like, exactly, like, nobody wants to open up their feed and just see like, and I don't want to be like a hater, but like when people just post, all they post is just like $2 million club on the, it's just like that. I'm looking at it as from a buyer perspective or a seller perspective, like that's great, but like, it's just like you just scroll past it, and it just kind of blends in like with all the other real estate posts, and I think like once that person finds a house, they're not going to continue to follow you. Like they'll just they'll maybe follow you while you're, but then it's like what happens after that. You kind of want to keep those people so that they, either refer people to, to you, or you just want to keep that connection going. So I just think that it just doesn't work as well.
I think obviously you want to show people you're successful.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you also want to make it sound like that's not all you care about.
Yeah.
Like, I want to post this graphic of all my accomplishments for the year.
Yeah.
Well, post some other stuff too. Maybe talk about some of the things that help you get there, or some of the patterns you've been seeing, and actually help the people that will help you get there the next year.
Yep. Like a mixture. I think that's important too, is like the variation of like different content, like not just all one thing.
Right.
Like you can do some fun things, and then you do some serious posts, and then you do some educational things on your story, or your, or like just some, you just kind of keep it different, like
stand out. Like I love Canva, but you can at a certain point. I mean, we're different. We follow more agents than probably most normal people do.
Yes, we know.
So you'll scroll and you'll see like, oh, it's the same like template, or it's like, okay, what are we doing to be different?
No, yeah, Canva. I mean, I do use Canva sometimes for like my my review posts.
Oh, me
or whatever.
Too. I use it all the
But I love it. But I totally know what you mean. That like that same template where the same like headshot.
Yeah.
That's like
And it's the same. It's like there's not an issue with that actual post. It's like when you go to the page, that's all it is. Like,
right. And then you're just like,
it's like,
which one do I read?
What am I looking at? It's so strange.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you're right. We do follow more than the average person. So you have more of a of a grasp
You
of
get
like how
annoyed
common
quicker.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people are afraid of posting, maybe because we do follow a bunch of agents. Like we don't want to post the same thing someone else is, but you have to remember your client might only be following you. They might not be following all the other agents that you're following. So it's like, just post stuff, even if you think it's been posted before, or if you were inspired by somebody. Don't completely rip it off. But you or maybe nod to, hey, I got this awesome idea from so and so.
Right, you kind of shut them out or whatever. Yeah.
I think it's important, or something I realized recently was we were at a holiday party for a brokerage in the area, and an agent that I was working with was switching to that team, but they haven't switched yet. And everybody in that room was coming up to me, like, man, I love your content. And it was cool for me because I make it, so I got to see it all.
Like, nice. From a distance, you were like,
yeah. So I kind of clicked, like, okay, we're making content for the clients, but if other agents see you and like you as well, I know you're not supposed to, but you're going to be more likely to go look at so-and-so listings of someone you know first. And like, I like them. I know the reputation.
You can have that like open dialogue with them, like about the offer and like, exactly. And it'll be more enjoyable to work with them in general. Yeah.
So it was cool to think like, okay, we're not making content for other agents. 'Cause I think a lot of people do that. And it's just like, we're all just slapping each other on the back, like, cool.
Right.
But yeah. So what would you say that you enjoy most about real estate?
I would say, I mean, I definitely think it's like the fact that every day is different in real estate is what kind of keeps me in it. And just like the meeting new people and like building those connections and like serving my clients really. It's always been about like serving that particular client. Like I really like care about them having like a good experience, because then I feel like so good after, like once you like hand the key over and like, it's just like the best feeling. And like seeing them on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, and they're building like their family in this house and their memories and stuff, and you're just like, oh, I was like part of that. And it's like really, it sounds like kind of cheesy, but like it's so like fulfilling to me. So and it really does push me like out of my comfort zone. Like I'm a very like introverted person naturally, and very like shy naturally too. And ever since like I started in real estate, I just feel like every year I get more and more like comfortable with myself and like and more confident and a better agent, so I feel like it's just like grown me as a person.
Cool.
So
I think I'm introverted too, and I think having a strong why or another reason of why you like something besides just a paycheck helps you get over those things. Like, I don't want to be on camera today, but if you know what you're doing now is going to help you of your goal of helping more people, it kind of helps you kind of do things.
It like you there's days obviously where you're just like, this is like I can't do it anymore, like there's just certain weeks where bad things happen after one after another, bad deal, whatever, and you want to like throw in the towel, but like that's exactly right, like you just keep telling yourself, but remember the moment, how good it feels like every year when you're done the year and you're like, wow, like I helped a lot of people, and like I did like the best I could do for them. Like I don't think of them as my clients as just like a client, like I create like such a bond with them because you get so close, so and I think that's what makes a good agent, is like having that connection with somebody and actually wanting them to have like a good outcome, and not just like you said, like selling as many as you can every month, like and no like shade to anybody that's like their goal, and that's great. I mean, I get it, people join real estate all the time to like make money, but I do think that like that will come if you just like if you do it for the right reasons, like if you
put enough goodwill out there, it will pay itself back, whether it be monetarily or you'll make other connections through people, and you won't make as good a connections if you're just trying to get money out of them.
Exactly, it'll be short-lived.
I actually, so my company's name is Blue Dot Media, and I named it because it's so hard to find a domain. It's like what
it really is.
And I made a joke. I'll call it Blue Dot Media. And then I remembered a long time ago how like it was some recording talking about how the earth is just this little blue dot. And I was like, I want to be able to take what I'm good at and help make the blue dot a better place. So it's all about just, and that helps me feel good about it. Like if I kind of switched away from saying clients, or I try to, and now it's like businesses I work with. because I don't want to feel transactional. It's like I know how hard it is to run a business, and I respect the hell out of business owners. So I'm like, if I can take what I'm good at and help them get better at what they're good at and help them grow their families or get out of crappy jobs, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see, like, I can actually help.
That's
really help people.
I really love that name, knowing the meaning behind it. That's really nice.
Yeah, it's funny because I hear when people say it back to me, I'm like, oh, that's not. It's almost when people say your own name. It's like, don't say my name.
Yeah.
Like me and my wife, we don't allow each other to say our names.
Really?
She's like, don't say my name.
It sounds kind of weird when your like spouse says your name.
Yeah, it's like, am I in trouble? Like,
yeah, it's like, wait, what? Yeah.
Sometimes you have to get their attention. Like, I don't know how. I can't just yell, hey, like you do in the house. We're at a public event.
Right. Can't be like, babe, because then everyone's gonna like.
Yeah. Hopefully, only one person's know. Yeah. If someone else turns around, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, why'd she turn around? Like, I don't know. So you kind of touched on being able to make connections being important for an agent to be successful. Are there any other skills that you had to learn that you feel make a good agent?
Well, I think definitely just like time management is really important, because some days it's like you have other things that you have to do in your life, obviously, but like your client needs something at a certain hour that's maybe not the most convenient. So like trying to like juggle that, like that type of schedule is so different than most people are used to, because it's like usually you have set schedule times and you're like, so that has been something that I've really learned over the years, is like, is like setting certain boundaries, or like maybe dependent on the situation, you kind of have to like push like out of your time frame that you want to be working. So that, and obviously like keeping communication like really high.
Yeah, it's hard to balance of being a good communicator and then managing your time, because I'm terrible at time management. I am actually in the process of trying to get diagnosed for ADHD.
Okay.
So I'm all over the place all the time, which ends up working out for me because I'm able to switch.
Right.
But it is hard when you're in the middle of something and you get a text. You're like, I got to respond to that.
And it's really hard for you because you're like editing and stuff. So you're like, you have to really focus on the task.
Usually I'm in it, and then I'm like,
you're like, wait, I'm out of it.
It's easy for me to like go do the other thing, but I'm going to have to go back.
Right.
And I have to tell myself, like, you can still be a good communicator and take an hour to respond. You don't have to respond
exactly.
right away.
That, that's something that I've kind of also had to just accept, like, you know what, it can wait an hour. Like, because when I first started, I was like, I need to like literally be on my phone like all the time. So like they know that I'm like ready to work,
Right.
So like, and I still obviously try to keep it in a good time frame. But I feel you on that that's challenging.
I think I purposely sometimes take a while to respond, because you don't want
to set the
feel too available, or if you're slow, you don't want to be like make it seem like you're slow. Like, oh man, they're always available.
Or if it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna just wait till the morning, so they know they can't text me at like 9 o'clock at night.
It'll be 9 o'clock and I'm like, I'm not doing anything, or I'm on my computer, I'm editing. The hard thing is, what I do is even if I wasn't doing this for my job, I enjoy doing it. So like my hobby would be going and doing more video stuff. Right. So it's like I have a hard time drawing that line.
I could see that. Yeah. But
it's time management is a skill that I think everybody, when you start your own business or run your own business, you go, it's you kind of take for granted having a 9 to 5 appointments, but it's definitely been a skill, a useful skill.
Yeah.
Kind of switching over to how things currently are in real estate, without beating a dead horse and talking about the interest rate drops, it's going to make things more competitive and all that stuff. Do you have any general tips for, maybe we'll start with buyers going into 2024, that you're seeing would set them up for success?
Yeah. I mean, I think for any year that you want to like start looking for a house, I think starting to talk to like a realtor, like, or a real estate agent right off the bat, like first step is just to start the conversation, because like I think even if you just have like, you pick an agent that you feel like is a good fit for you, and or even talk to multiple agents and just kind of like get a feel for like their personalities and if you are compatible. I think that's like number one, because it's better for us and it's better for them. Like if they're with somebody that they actually want to work with and are excited to work with, it'll be a way better experience in general. So like finding an agent that you like and you want to work with, because you're going to be like spending time with them, is like the number one thing. And then kind of like talking about the process with them, finding out like, what is it that I need to do to like be ready? because it's so hard to like start looking with someone when they don't know what to expect.
Right.
And then you have to explain it as they're like, you know, freaking out. Can we get an offer in on time? Like there's no due date today. Like for this one, we got it, you know, so that's always why I tell people like there could be a house that comes on and you don't have your pre-approval and you don't have, you don't know like, you know, what is your budget? Like how high can the taxes be? Can I afford these taxes? Like, will I be house poor? So like having those conversations like with your agent and saying like, you know, am I going to be qualified to like start looking soon? Do I have to wait, you know, another year?
Right.
And if I have to wait another year, what can I do in that year to be a better buyer?
Yeah.
You know, so, and then it helps me too, because I'll be able to be ready with them, you know, and we'll feel more like confident and ready to like start trying to win these houses, you know? So, yeah, so that would be my recommendation is just to like, obviously find a realtor and then talk about the process, you know, find out how does it work? How do you submit an offer? Like, what are good things that can strengthen your offer? And can you get to that point where you can, you know, maybe apply more cash or, you know, whatever it may be, or pay off more debt or,
Yeah, I think a lot of times people, and this might be on like the type of agent, you might feel like if you reach out to this person, they're going to like start salesmaning you. And you're like, no, you know, I don't, they might feel like they're locked in. I think a lot of people don't realize you can fire your realtor.
Oh,
you can just say, hey, we're not working, or you can ghost them if you really wanted to and you just don't like confrontation.
Right.
I don't recommend
Unfortunately,
it. But you can interview people and say, hey, this just doesn't feel right. Because usually, in my experience, if it doesn't feel right on one side, it doesn't feel right on the other.
Yes.
And as the business person in that, you usually have to like eat that a little bit more. You can't be like, I don't like you, I'm not going to help you.
Right.
But usually it ends up being better for everybody.
Yes.
Because everybody enjoys the process.
No, exactly. No, that's exactly right. Like you know, like obviously, like we were talking about before, like if somebody reaches out to like me specifically to like start helping them, I'm already like, it already feels good because I'm like, okay, like you chose to reach out to me out of like all these agents and that means something to me, like in the sense that like, you know, I appreciate that because like I know there's so many agents to choose from. So like I really like cherish like that like client because I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna like be there for you and like guide you. And so I think that it just already sets it up for like a positive experience if they're like excited to work with you. Yeah.
And I think having like the type of social presence you have, where you said people are going to reach out to you, they feel like they know you.
Right.
And you have so much less work to do of like having to sell yourself to them. Like, let's just get, how are you going to do this?
I don't have to sell exactly. That's exactly it. Like you already kind of know what I'm about. Like, you know, like, you're not like wondering, like you said, are you going to be like really annoying and message me if I change my mind? It's like, no, like I want you to want to work with me, you know, like I don't want to push anything on you. And, so that's been my strategy since the start is like, don't force anything, you know.
It takes people sometimes they never get to that point. Like, oh, my personality's, that's what sets you apart as an agent, is your personality. For the most part, agents have access to the same listings for the most part. And it's all kind of the same stuff. So when people are choosing, it's your personality that sets you apart. No, you have to lean into that. And if maybe you aren't a super funny person and you like being serious, there's clients for that.
Exactly. There's clients that would be more compatible with that person than they would be, you know, with me. And not saying like I said, I am professional, but like, I know what you mean, like more like buttoned up or like, you know, maybe more of a flashy agent is not, and you know what, those aren't the clients that I'm attracting like that. And that's fine. And that's not like the people that I have in my life anyway, you know? So it's like, I think it's just like anything in life, like you know, people that you attract for your friendships and whatnot, like you don't attract the same people. Everyone kind of attracts different people in their life and it works the same for real estate, you know, like you'll attract,
then there's enough to go around.
Exactly.
You don't need every
I
single
don't need
client.
I don't need the same, you know, I don't need the same connections as this agent would need and vice versa. They might, you know, so.
Yeah, I always, because I've niched into working specifically with real estate agents. There's like, 3,500 in the area. Yeah. I'm only looking to work with 15. Like, so.
You're not,
I don't, so when there's another agency in the area, I'm like, you help them too. But I'm going to hold you accountable to make sure you're doing a good job. Because when I see things that I'm like, you as a video agency should know this. Like, for example, delivering a horizontal only video when you know they're only putting it on social media. That's like a technical thing that just bugs me. It's like, even if you shoot it horizontal, there's ways to kind of cheat it to be vertical.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? You're not looking out for your client's best interest if you're not at least offering a vertical edit or asking, hey, where is this going? Because some people just have it in their head like, oh, we're just going to make this for you. We're the experts, take it and go. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's definitely more than enough clients to go around for everybody. And I think it takes a while to realize it, I think. But it's once you do realize that, it's like perfect.
Oh, yeah.
You get along with everybody more and it's less stressful.
No, you definitely like nailed that statement, because it's so true. Like, you don't need all of these people to be working with you. You know, like you just want those, you need to find your people, you know, like it's like, yeah, it's not, doesn't have to be so complicated. Like,
right.
You know,
and so competitive. And
no,
so...
it doesn't. And you can support other people like in the same, you know, in the same city as you, because you're going to be working with them. So, you know, none of this, like, I don't know, just none of the drama is necessary.
Yeah, I never see much competition anymore. Like, if I feel like I'm working with somebody or an inquiry that's not compatible, but I know who would work for them, I pass them off.
Yeah.
And I hope that it comes back. So I think there's sometimes like, you know what, I know who can help you. Let me send it over to you. And I don't want to be like, let me take it because I don't want them to have it.
No, that's good mindset, because it'll come back. Yeah.
Well, I do really appreciate you coming on. I have one last question. This actually isn't from me.
Okay.
So it's from Joe Sorrentino Jr., who was my last guest.
Okay.
And he wanted to know, I'm going to ask you the same thing of like, what do you want to ask my next guest?
Oh, okay.
He wanted to know, when you're in your car grabbing food in between listings and a crazy day, where are you stopping?
Well, I love some Mighty Taco. Yeah. Not the most glamorous answer, but I love like a burrito from Mighty Taco. You know, that's like really.
So I'm vegetarian. I don't know what they have.
Okay.
But I feel like
they do, I think, have some options.
I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure.
I think don't go there. It's not
clear my schedule.
Yeah, it's not a vegetarian place, but it's like one of those like guilty pleasure places that it's like quick and easy, and you can like inhale it in your car. Yeah.
It's not messy, you know.
They wrap it decent, so as long as you're just like very skilled at eating in the car, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's something agents learn.
It's a skill. Yeah. So I would say, that would probably be like, if I want like a fast, comforting food, that's what I would do.
Awesome. So on that note, what would you, if you had to tee up one question for my next guest? I don't know who it is.
Okay. That's tough. Not knowing. Maybe like something like, tell a story of something crazy that happened at a showing or something, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, what's a funny showing story.
Sure. I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Just leave names out.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard some that are absolutely wild from like some agents who've been doing it for like 20, 30 years, because like things have changed, like what's acceptable over 20, 30 years.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can
yeah. Well, I'll definitely ask that. I don't know who it is, but that'll be a good one. It's going to set up a good answer. Well, thank you again so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And we'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.